Kagurabachi is a wide range of terrifying villains, and today I've compiled 7 in order of least to most insane, and I'll be looking into each of their powers and their actions from start to finish. This is the 7 levels of Kagurabachi villains. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. Level 1, Hirohiko. Hirohiko is the first member of the Hishaku on this list, and being a part of this highly exclusive criminal organization, he's already bound to be pretty crazy. Hirohiko appears as he's sent to kill Yuruha, a sword bearer, a trail of bodies behind him as he encounters Chihiro, the one guarding said sword bearer. He reveals his sorcery, turning sheets of paper into murderous paper cranes, them acting as blades as they destroy everyone in the train car. It would seem he can literally summon infinite amounts of them. He then clashes with Chihiro, where Hirohiko is pushed outside of the train car and forced into battle with a whole nother sword bearer. Yet he almost seems happy to fight Chihiro. Hirohiko reveals he's been looking forward to this. He's also 18 and was forced to learn about killing young. He considers Chihiro a peer. Matter of fact, he even thinks they could be friends. Chihiro dashes in anger as Hirohiko disperses into a flurry of cranes, disappearing completely and placing himself at a theater. Meanwhile, Chihiro fights the cranes till he falls through the ceiling of the theater, covering the crowd in blood and appearing as a monster. Something Hirohiko smiles at. He's the only one who can understand Chihiro. This statement just making him seem creepy. Hirohiko takes to covering the room in paper, so much so that nothing is visible. This panics the crowd around Chihiro. They run amok, meaning if he strikes the cranes away, he'll likely hit an innocent person. Hirohiko is sadistically testing him, relishing in it as he awaits his quote, sacrifice. Yet Chihiro takes the cranes head on, before covering the room in his own power and stomping Hirohiko down. Hirohiko doesn't understand why Chihiro has refused to kill. Killing is killing to him, and when Chihiro states there's different forms of killing, Hirohiko's eyes light up. They want to kill each other because they're different. This feeling of wanting to fight to the death, it must be friendship. He then spills everything, because they're friends of course, all before saying soon he'll have a proper weapon. Then they can really battle to the death. A sword then slams through the ceiling. Chihiro quickly cuts off both Hirohiko's arms as he grasps the sword with his mouth, revealing this blade is one of the 7, Kumiyuri. He summons all its power before Chihiro is teleported away, ending their fight. Hirohiko is revealed as an unstable, childish villain willing to use anything for his goals. He was willing to have Chihiro kill people to prove this weird image of friendship, but that's not even the worst part, as now he's got one of the enchanted blades, and we already can assume he's not going to use it for good. Hirohiko returns with stitched up arms and a mission to kill Samura's daughter. It's then he's approached for using sorcery in the hotel, and using a hairpin he cuts the dude's head off. Jeez. He takes his sword because he can't use Kumiyuri due to Samura's sorcery, and now intends to use the hotel as a stepping stone in his swordsmanship. Hirohiko then clashes with the swordmaster, someone he should have no chance against at his limited experience. Yet he dodges and cleaves the man's arm off. Hirohiko states he's a student of freedom before killing him. We don't see that part, but he arrives on an elevator with his head. So yeah, he definitely killed him. Anyways, being face to face with Chihiro sends him battling down the elevator shaft. On the ground floor, it becomes clear that Hirohiko is a natural with the blade, him effortlessly slicing everything away and developing a technique where he shovels his blade between hands to confuse his opponent. He clashes with Chihiro as he grows stronger, swapping his sword from hand to hand with no loss of force, like a wild animal acting on pure instinct. Hirohiko then mocks Chihiro's technique, trying it for the first time and performing an insanely good imitation. Funny enough, as the battle reaches new heights of intensity, they take an elevator break, and when the doors open to each other, they're right back at it for the final blow. Each of them tried the white purity style, seeing who can perfect the technique as they clash, but Hirohiko falls. Somehow, not even this kills him, again being healed and activating Kumiyuri, now that Samura's sorcery is gone. He's then cut into 10 pieces by Aamura, but then everything distorts, revealing the true power of Komiyuri. He has used Banquet, causing hallucinations for everyone. Hiding in a room, he tries to use the power one more time, but Chihiro then finds him. In response, he uses Play, another one of the sword's abilities to manipulate objects, all before he uses it to an even greater extent, distorting the whole building and shaking it. But with this, Aamura has had enough of the illusions. He appears to join the fight. Hirohiko then thinks he has to focus this next attack on quality, but with his attacks relying so heavy on distorting objects, he needs compatibility with his new blade, but he has none. This incompatibility ends up working to his utmost advantage, as it doesn't just distort the floor like he wants, it ends up toppling the entire building. Yet as he screams for his final showdown with Chihiro, Aamura rises like a phoenix, nullifying his power and cutting him down. Hirohiko has no respect for life. Killing is just another walk in the park for him. Not only is he gifted in sorcery, gifted with the blade, but now he has a brand new enchanted blade to use and cause havoc with. He's young, but he's pretty terrible, making him the perfect first mark on our list of evil villains. Yet even then, Kagurabachi's world has threats far bigger than Hirohiko, and he's already pretty crazy. Level 2, Ginichi Sojo. Sojo is an arms dealer chasing Char, a little girl whose bloodline possesses insane regenerative powers. He's also a new and current bearer of Cloud Gouger, an enchanted blade. He wants Char to use her regenerative powers for sadistic experimentation to create weapons of mass destruction. The first we see of Sojo, he's in a hot springs watching a tortured man, already insanely sadistic, relaxing while watching someone in pain. Sojo then goes on to list the Shinichi into the Rakuzaichi auction, though in reality he was a figurehead used by the Shaku. Despite being an arms dealer, he isn't on their level. Sojo is then shown hunting down past associates that left him, even killing their families, stating it's all the cost of not finishing their work. He then walks into a location housing Char, swinging the door open to instantly clash with Chihiro, a wicked smile on his face as he brandishes his recently acquired Cloud Gouger. He's interested in Chihiro because of his enchanted blade, blowing him through the building and yelling with excitement as he realizes he has a fight on his hands. Chihiro knows everything he needs to know about Sojo's blade, yet when they clash, Sojo prevails in strength alone. He faces Chihiro, stating he loves his father? Sojo praises Chihiro's dad, the creator of the enchanted blades, stating he made these weapons for one reason. As he falls back off the building, he yells that the enchanted blades were made for slaughter. They will kill. He detonates electricity as Chihiro emits his own, acting as a lightning rod and saving everyone. Sojo continues to insult Chihiro's father, him responding in rage as Sojo defends with his monstrous strength. They have their blades at each other's neck, but even then they dodge. They're fairly well matched. With this, Sojo smiles. His men have kidnapped Char, leading Chihiro to freak out as he makes his quick escape. But to Sojo, now that they have Char, he can continue his plan. Sojo's grand plan is to use Dattenseki, the material the enchanted blades are made of, to craft deadly weapons. The material was only ever stabilized by Rokuhira, and in every other case it causes death when used by a person. But using Char's regeneration, he looks for a way to bypass this issue and create weapons of mass destruction. And with this, everything becomes very apparent about Sojo. He's insanely cruel and above all just wants chaos. He's an arms dealer who wants to create insane weapons, not only obviously making him money, but in turn ending more lives, as that seems to be all he cares for. Sojo will kill his own allies with no problem. Innocent people dead are just another mark to him. And he'll even torture this little girl for his chaotic goals. Sojo then faces off against the anti-Cloud Gouger forces. They know all about his weapons abilities, lightning, snow, and water, and even how they can be used together. When they think they have Sojo cornered, ready to launch their counterattack, he synchronizes with the blade further. Having used it so much, him and Cloud Gouger have grown stronger. leading to him effortlessly blitzing the forces at the speed of lightning. The most astonishing discovery is that final move. It happened because Chihiro showed him what a lightning rod was. He created his own lightning rod and blitzed around the battlefield in a destructive concentrated line. Sojo reveals this all to Chihiro as he now faces him. Both are deeply wounded, and in clear understanding this battle will be quick as they activate their swords and clash. They dash through the skies as their blades meet, and with this, the strangest thing happens. They have an internal conversation with one another. They share sweets as Sojo talks of his disgust with Chihiro's beliefs. While Chihiro believes the enchanted blades are for fighting evil and protecting, Sojo believes they are to be weapons of mass destruction. He has his own takeaway from the sword creator's words, as does Chihiro. They agree they can both speak for the man, but the only takeaway to last into the future will be the victor of the fights. The battle lasts for 12 brutally long yet short seconds. Sojo slices Chihiro's arm away thinking he's faster, for Chihiro to come in from above and cleave Sojo's arm off. Sojo tries his best to keep up, yet Chihiro has pushed his body 3 times past his limits. As he speeds behind Sojo, he reacts, but he was nowhere near ready for the force of Chihiro's blow. He shatters the sky, splits Sojo open, and breaks Cloud Gouger. Sojo falls to the ground, bleeding out as he realizes Rokuhira's blade chose Chihiro. With the last of his strength, he drags himself to the lab, trying to harness Seki in a last-ditch effort, but upon grasping it, he explodes. Sojo may have been chosen by an enchanted blade. The blade in the world may have accepted his purpose of chaos, but his ultimate mistake was believing that he was on the level of Rokuhira. Sojo is chaos incarnate. He also is the best volume cover. But as simplest terms, he is an arms dealer who simply wants to create weapons of mass destruction. Upon facing Chihiro, the opposite of everything he stands for, he didn't waver in his goals and ideals one bit, telling us he truly believes in every ounce of chaos and insanity he states. Sojo is truly sadistic in every single part of his heart. I think it says a lot that despite being this crazy, he isn't even a part of the main villainous organization of the series, so let's go take a look at some of them. Level 3, Hokuro. Hokuro is a member of the Hishaku just like Hirohiko, though his experience in the field already puts him ahead. While Hirohiko is new, this guy's been here the whole time since the Hishaku's initial actions. Plus, he's a master swordsman with the crazy sorcery to top it off. The only issue is, other than Hirohiko, most members of the Hishaku are clouded in mystery. So for Hokuro, we can only go on what we really see him do. Hokuro's first move is against Azami during the Kamunabi invasion, appearing as a full suit of samurai armor. Though when the armor is destroyed, Azami discovers it was a unique sorcery. Nobody was inside the armor, it was completely animated. It's then revealed Hokuro in this specific sorcery was used to hunt down and kill the previous bearer of Cloud Gouger, the hero Ibuki Misaka. Not only this, but it was used to kill Rokuhira, killing the man who started everything. We then see Hokuro outside of the armor for the first time, where he lights a guy's cigarette with the swing of a sword. I just wanted to show that because it was cool. He then receives a call. It's time for the invasion on Kamunabi to occur, and he's very unenthusiastic, stating the Misaka he had fought was no longer legendary. But upon hearing another sword bearer will be there, he springs into action. Hokuro arrives to the battle and instantly causes havoc, deflecting a sword as he chokes the user, before shrugging off Hakuri's Iso, it throwing Hakuri away instead of him. It's then he's stopped by Natsuki Misaka, brother of the legendary swordsman he had killed, where he offers to introduce him to his brother's killer if he wins the fight. Which, like, he was the one who did it. That's messed up. Hokuro states he wants to fight Yuruha. His sword was destined for the thrill of combat. Only will it truly blossom against the master swordsman. The two of them clash, their blows even before Natsuki uses his lightning sorcery. Hokuro forced to summon armor to defend himself. It's then Yuruha and Yura appear before them. turning this one-on-one into a 2v2. In an instant, Hokuro's hand flies off, Natsuki flipping over Yuruha to clash in an explosive fashion, destroying the room. Hokuro faces Yuruha. He can imagine his death. He has goosebumps, yet he's excited as they fight. He cleaves his fingers off as they go blow for blow, the fight constantly interrupted by Yura and Natsuki. It's a complete chaos deathmatch. But at the speed of light, the library is destroyed and Hokuro takes a devastating blow to the shoulder. But at the end of it all, they all stand together, Hokuro laughing, showing he really is enjoying this. The group then takes a moment to cool off, Hokuro complimenting Natsuki's swordplay by winking? Yet with this, they all ready for the final bout, dashing in for an explosive brawl. They trade hits as Natsuki sends Hokuro barreling through the building with an electrical blow. And with this, Yura chooses to end the fight, leaving Hokuro to another mission another time. Hokuro is very lax. Outside of fighting a strong opponent, he is by all means very lazy. Though in combat, when he does fight, he's incredibly strong and brutal. Overall, he's a very simple character, there's not much to say. He'll commit any evil as long as a good fight is there. The reason he is level 3 is because he sets the standards for the longtime members of the Hoshaku's strength. But other than that, there's people who do a lot worse than him. Level 4, Yukisada. Yukisada is yet another member of the Shaku, and just like Hokuro, due to this we know pretty much nothing about him past what we see him do. But what we do know about this character specifically makes him pretty terrifying. Yukisada first pops up during the Hoshaku meeting during their attack on the Kamunabi. He yawns, and while this is nothing at first, this turns into everyone concluding he must be nervous. When Yura goes to the restroom, he follows, and in the stalls they have a personal men's moment. Yura asking, is he nervous? Yura explains that he too is nervous, they could die after all. But that's not a bad thing. Nervousness is what precedes victory. But what is most surprising about this scene is that he calls Yukisada the strongest fighter of the group. And I'm like, really? This scrawny kid? It all makes sense when they invade the Kamunabi, as it becomes immediately clear someone is altering the sorcerer's force field. By creating his own barrier, Yukisada has destabilized the Kamunabi's barrier, allowing anyone through and disrupting their communications. The sorcerers put their all into finding Yukisada, the one to do so being Hagiwara and his strange sorcery, it impaling Yukisada straight through the chest. Yet he was stated to be the strongest. He stays conscious, grabs a blade, and strikes, to be impaled all over again. He tries it a second time, but he's thrown to the other side of the room with his arm hacked off. Yukisada then reveals his real power. On top of the barrier manipulation, he can regenerate, his arm coming back from nothing in the blink of an eye. They scream for him to be decapitated, assuming it'll work, and a scuffle ensues. And when they finally do decapitate him, he just grabs his very own head. Literally nothing can kill him. Yukisada then states that whatever Yura says is true, and Yura said he's the strongest Shaku, so it's true. Yura then bursts through the room, looking to Yukisada and simply saying, well done. This reveals to us that Yukisada was there to waste time so his allies could further massacre the Kamunabi. And it's perfect, because he can't die. They can spend time murdering him and he'll just stand right back up. The scariest part is that Yukisada seems a bit crazy. Just because Yura said he's the strongest, he's convinced he is. And with how often Yura states it, it's like he knows he can use this to manipulate him. He'll happily push Yukisada to commit evil. I would argue that because Yukisada is not only immortal, but definitely a bit crazy, that he is above Hokuro. He is clearly young, impressionable, and easy to manipulate, and Yura, this evil mastermind, seems to know this. On top of that, his regeneration and his barrier-like powers makes him a crazy strong and fearful asset. Though I will say with everything we know, which is basically nothing, most members of the Hoshaku could be interchangeable between 3 and 4. Level 5, Kiora Sazanami. Kiora is head of a prestigious clan running an underworld auction. This auction is selling the Shinichi, the most terrifying of the legendary enchanted blades. This alone telling us the weight and presence this operation holds. We see Chihiro infiltrate his manor to ask him about the sword, him instantly revealing his sorcery. Kyora's sorcery is this mask emanating energy. It's the tell of a Sazanami family head, as well as allowing him to access the storehouse. The storehouse is a subspace dimension that only he and who he allows can interact with. Like the name implies, it stores things, swords, valuables, and even living things. Worst part, if he dies, the whole thing goes out with him. While this ability seems simple, ultimately it makes Kiora capable of any evil criminal act ever, as he's the only one who can interact with it, and he takes full advantage of this. The furthest this is shown is human trafficking, but due to his relationship with villainous groups like the Hoshaku, you can assume the evil depths stretch far beyond our view. Kiora then pulls in his family from his storeroom, having trained his children to basically be soldiers from birth. They give Chihiro a difficult time. The whole family is shown to be unhinged, as the oldest Soya beats down on Hakuri and sees nothing wrong in the abuse. So yeah, raising your unstable family to be soldiers to do your bidding for your criminal enterprise. Pretty bad place to start. Chihiro gives up N10 to save Hakuri, this marking the beginning of a war between the two groups. Chihiro's goal is to reach an emergency access door to the storehouse. It's basically an insurance policy, housed in the auction's basement cemetery, and Kyora's children are the ones guarding it. The group is beaten by Shiba, though with this we learn of the family's determination to defend the door. Tenri, one of the siblings, recalls a memory of his father's praise as he grasps a piece of Dantenseki, intending to use it for a temporary power-up before death. That being okay because Kiora ordered them to defend this place to the death. And I just gotta ask, what father would tell his children to do this? Tell his children to leave their lives for him as he sits at the top doing his silly little auction. With the Dantenseki, the family gains an incredible power-up. Their strength and speed through the roof as they summon countless weapons from the storeroom, all hellbent on dying for their father. By the end of this frenzy, Hakuri, Kyora's dishonored child, unlocks the ability to use the storeroom, something that has not been acquired naturally for generations. All as the rest of the family is toppled, allowing Chihiro to check the storeroom door. And it's broken. Kiora has forced his children to defend something to the death that never existed, which is disgusting. Thanks to Hakuri though, Chihiro is able to get his enchanted blade back and begin the counterattack against Kiora. Kiora can manipulate anything in the storehouse, it's his space, and he targets Chihiro by distorting the landscape and teleporting grenades to him. Though Hakuri, since he can also interact with the storehouse and he can interact with Chihiro's energy, teleports the grenades away. Hakuri then takes to stealing all of Kyora's merchandise, leading to him unstably announcing the Shinichi auction will begin. Chihiro readies to finish this, dashing at Kiora, shredding the environment, throwing his sword. Kiora deflects this and thinks he's won, yet Hakuri teleports Chihiro behind Kiora, delivering a devastating blow. But as he bleeds out, he demands the auction proceed. The Shinichi box has been unsealed, the blade now in Kyora's hand. The imprisoned swordbearer tries to take advantage of him, granting Kiora to use the power of the Shinichi as it overcomes his injuries and overflows out of him like a butterfly. Kiora is able to clash with Chihiro without drawing the blade. Even by unsheathing it slightly, the power of Centipede blows everything away. He declares the auction for the blade again, his underworld empire being more important to him than anything. As Kiora dashes in, the sword's energy destabilizes the storeroom, sending them back to reality as its power leaks out. The sword's energy appears as a dark ethereal sludge, creating blooming flowers that kill and corrupt anybody nearby. And this is all due to barely unsheathing the blade. Even then, all this death, all this madness, Kiora cares not. In his head, he listens to his wife's last words. If the auction never took place, then silence. He screams that must continue as his wounds explode and he falls to his knees. The sword and the sword bearer trying his best to take him over. He recalls Chihiro's earlier words. He should have believed in Hakuri, his dishonored son. And he was right about this. He had told his children to live the way he wanted, follow his orders, and even die for him. But now he's the one who has failed his duty, falling to the one son who refused to listen to the way he wanted him to live. He has failed his duty as a father. Kiora sheaths and sets the sword down, dying before it can overcome his spirit. Kiora Sazanami was an evil force heading an organization he used his children to protect. No matter what, they were born to help and push along this evil criminal organization. Push it along and eventually die for him. And I think it's perfect that him, his organization, and his villainous ways crumble at the hands of the one child he didn't want. The one child who refused to listen to all of his insane antics. His bounds of evil aren't just familial though, as we've seen with this storeroom and his criminal organization that he will clearly and not really care as he does things like human trafficking. Not to mention, he used the Shinichi to kill countless people and didn't once care about it. While the evil we personally see him do isn't as crazy and insane as the others, the fact that you definitely know it exists makes him higher on this list than others, as the amount of people he's inadvertently killed, or killed by his own hands, are higher than we could ever know. Level 6, Yura. Yura is the leader of the Shaku and the main antagonist in Kagurabachi. Everything we see in the manga basically happens due to him. He literally causes it all. Yura's first appearance is in chapter 31 during the Shinichi auction. Chihiro instantly recognizing him as the guy who spearheaded his father's assassination, an action he quickly accepts responsibility for. He then throws Chihiro back and holds him in place with the tree's sorcery, though in a second Chihiro blitzes, severs his arm, and impales him. But Yura is still calm and composure. He taunts Chihiro where he realizes that Yura just wants to waste his time. And like that, he blows through the tree sorcery and Yura teleports away. Now while this appearance seems like nothing more than a taunt towards Chihiro, it was exactly as said, to buy time. Up to now, Yura has used Sojo to refine Dattenseki, so it could be used as a weapon, as well as having him enter the Shinichi, which he had stolen from Chihiro's father, to the auction. His goal in all of this was for the sword to fall in the hands of the Kamunabi, as well as to see if the sword bearer would allow the use of the sword's power. Both things he has now succeeded in, already placing him in the tier of like crazy mastermind type of villain. Yura next appears on a rocking horse? Yeah, I'm serious. Yura directs his allies from a children's playground, sending them to attack sword bearers in an effort to kill them. Though in reality, he really wanted to start his plan with Samura. Samura, the sword bearer, has chosen to work with the Shaku, intending to kill all the sword bearers and remove the blades, as to him, they are the world's evil. This is expanded on when we see how Yura came to working with Samura in the past. Yura approached Samura and revealed he knew the truth the sword bearers had hidden from the public. While everyone believes they had won the war and the enchanted blades turned the tide, in reality the bearer of the Shinichi went berserk after all of that, and the other bearers had to team up to defeat and imprison him. Yura declares to Samura as long as this man lives, the calamity known as the malediction will yet again occur. Yura goes on to state that his true goal is to execute the Shinichi's current bearer and wield the sword, preventing the malediction. He intends to hold all of this against Samura, knowing his sense of justice would make it impossible for him to refuse. They struck a deal he'd help, even if in the end he intended to kill them. And with this, seeds of chaos were planted. Samura has now distracted the Kamunabi, so Yura and the Shinichi can invade. This gives us a lot to work with on Yura. He had assassinated Kunishige Rokihira to not only steal the enchanted blades, but prevent the creation of more. This also allows us to put together a goal. He wants the Shinichi to prevent the effects of the war from happening again. Though of course it's not that simple. He wouldn't be on this list if his goals were that noble. As the invasion kicks off, Yura sits in a lounge before asking the man at the desk where the restroom is. Though he's more curious about why this man is here. Isn't he scared? He responded that he wanted to see Rokuhiro's killer, and that he won't tell him anything, not even where the restroom is. Yura proposes they toss a coin. If he wins, he gets the restroom's location. If he loses, the man can take his life. Yura states they're about to risk their lives. He wants relief. And the coin toss goes his way, Yura declaring the gods are on his side. This tells us one thing: Yura is a man of risk, and he doesn't mind the risk because he believes the gods, so to say, are on his side. Like, I guess they cannot be risks if God destined it in the first place? Maybe? Though this justifies a lot of his shaky reasoning for things. Like, why not hold the Shinichi and then kill the bear? Well, if he believes it'll work out, why not claim the sword and the bear's head in one spot? Plus, might as well not take the dude's sword, make him an enemy before you even know him. He works on doing just that as he rides into battle, clashing with Iruha, before ending up right next to Hokuro and Nishiki. From there, the battle erupts into chaos, becoming a 2v2 instead of a 1v1. All 4 players master swordsmen clashing with all their strength. Eventually, Yura is forced into a 1v2. Deciding that he's done wasting time, he instantly slams both swordsmen to the floor, his speed and strength growing in an instant as he activates the Shinichi's energy. You see, before giving the sword to Kyora's auction, he had charged it with his energy, and knowing that Kiora was able to somewhat control its influence without drawing the sword, he assumes his connection with the energy will allow him to do the same. And it does, allowing him to command the blade's power. Yura activates Centipede and destroys the room, declaring he'll come kill the Swordmaster with this power. It's then Yura is attacked by everyone plus Azami, yet one Centipede leaves only Azami standing. Yura strikes again, but is hit by a strong sorcery, before taking a devastating punch to the side. But Yura stands up smiling. His power is only growing as he realizes it'll soon be time to meet the Swordbearer. Then he can bring order to the nation. Azami goes down and he consumes the levels of the building as he marches towards the bearer, everything clad in the dark ethereal flowers as he reaches the chamber. Through the seal, Yura speaks to Aamura Soga, wielder of the Shinichi, where he declares he's come to kill him, yet is very surprised when the man responds normally. He states that he thought he was insane, that's what the scholars had said. But in reality, he's perfectly sound. Yura goes on to state that he has come to correct the mistakes of the quote, heroes. He approves of Soga's malediction. It was the right answer. Yet history rejected it. It was a tremendous mistake. Yura thought the world needs more order, and that someone needs to take on that role. But now knowing the Swordbearer, the one attempting to gain that order, wasn't insane, he proposes they lead together. It's then Azami attacks again despite losing both limbs. But he's no match for Yura with his newfound blade. It's then Shiba appears and teleports Yura outside of the building, placing him in the sky above Chihiro and Samura, a legendary battle set to occur. At the time of recording, we're only about 2 chapters into this battle, but it's complete chaos. Yura has even shown us a new Shinichi ability. It can steal vitality and enhance its user's vitality, meaning he can just suck the life out of anyone he wants to. The last page of the most recent chapter at the time of writing shows Yura up in flames, the plan being to sever his connection with the Shinichi. Though I doubt it's really going to be that easy. I think we got a long reign of evil still ahead for him. At the time of writing, this is just the beginning. Though with everything we have, we know Yura to be a heinous man with a goal of creating some weird order. While it's not clear and we don't really have much to go on, the fact he's backing up a mass murderer means it's likely not good. If their goals somehow align, which he's pretty much said they do, I can't imagine he's trying to create a world that's full of good butterflies and rainbows. Yura is by far the biggest free threat in the series right now. Note the free, and of course this video isn't actually over. Maybe if you really valued screen presence then you could shift these two, but I personally would say level 6 isn't even close to level 7. Level 7, Aamura Soga. Soga is one of the original 7 sword bearers. His main claim to evil is killing over 200,000 people. Yeah, it feels like we just skipped like 17 tiers of evil. Soga's origins are hand in hand with the Seitei War, where savages resistant to Datanseki and native to a small island invaded, them being stopped by the enchanted blades, where Soga was wielder of the Shinuchi, the strongest of all the blades. With this pushback, the nation surrendered and a treaty of peace was signed, yet Soga went berserk and the malediction started. Nothing was left as the Shinuchi and Soga consumed everything. Their havoc killed roughly 200,000 people and destroyed everything. The remaining sword bearers worked together to imprison Soga, and since then the story's been covered up and people who know deem Soga insane. Presently, Soga's blade, the Shinuchi, disappeared after Rokuhiro was killed and the sword was stolen, but now it's reappeared at the Rakuzaichi auction. Taking it into his hands in a moment of desperation, Kiora wields the blade as its energy leaks out, seemingly given permission by Soga to wield its power as it tries to take the man over. Even before he draws the blade, it manifests as a butterfly, before giving the man immense power, techniques like centipede enough to destroy everything around him. And as he starts to draw it, barely pulling it out of its sheath, it destabilizes the realm he was in. As the blade controls Kiora more and more, its power leaks out in a sludge, the sludge going flowers and plant life, that sentences those who touch it to certain death. In the end, it kills Kiora, but not before he regains control of himself. The next Soga's power is used is by Yura during his invasion, where Soga seemingly grants him access to the blade after he had used his energy on the blade's seal. He uses the power to overwhelm everyone before reaching the chamber Soga is imprisoned in, finally speaking to the Swordmaster himself. It's revealed that in reality, Soga was never insane. He speaks like a normal person, just happy to speak to someone after so long. He even remarks about how convenient it was for people to say he was insane, but in reality, everything he did that day was based on his own ideals and beliefs. It was all to protect the country and its people. He then reveals he allowed Yura to use the sword because he wanted a chance to hear about the outside world, now asking if his brother, Rokuhiro, is dead. And upon hearing he is, Soga concludes that Yura is also here to kill him. Yura then declares his own goal, it being remarkably similar to Soga's philosophy. And since Soga isn't insane like he had assumed, he proposes that they work together, lead the world to a new order with the enchanted blades. And that is everything we know about Aamura Soga, a man who is known for killing over 200,000 people. Though we don't even have a real lick of a reason yet, other than it aligned with his ideals. Oh, and that he wasn't insane while doing it, which I would say easily makes it worse than if he was insane. Anyone who tries to use this man's power is drawn to insanity, yet he uses it just fine. And even now, he might be partnering with someone who has goals as crazy as him. And the worst part is, the story is going in a direction that I without a doubt see him getting out of his cage. Regardless, he is by far the most evil, heinous character in the series. Thank you so much for watching my first Kagurabachi video. I actually ended up really liking this series, and so if you would want to see more videos on it, let me know. I'd be down to do some. But other than that, I want to say you can read it on official sources, buying volumes, or simply downloading the Shonen Jump app. Like, that subscription is very cheap for the amount of content you get. But regardless, I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.